Like, that's it. Like, like in the social isolation, I just don't think that happened. I know it did. Like, there was always that guy that you didn't really run into, but I mean, I just don't think he was that common. I don't think he was that present. I think you had to work a little bit harder to come across him. But now with the internet, whether it's the Facebook or the Twitter or the Insta or whatever ungodly combination you partake in, I think it's just easier to just isolate yourself, to corner yourself, to just put yourself in a self-contained bubble, I guess, a self-propelled bubble, to the point where you don't even know what the hell's going on half of the time. And, that's hard. When you get yourself locked in that corner to the point where you don't want to leave the house, you don't want to talk to nobody, you don't want to do anything. You just want to sit there and drink. You just want to sit there and smoke. You just want to sit there and play video games. You just want to rage post. That's all you want to do. That's hard to pull yourself out of that, man. So you got to give yourself some slack there. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's okay you're doing that, but you got to give yourself a little bit of slack, because it's going to take some time to get yourself pulled out of that. Rome wasn't built in a day, okay? Nor is any addiction or any toxic behavior. It doesn't start in a day, okay? It takes time. It takes time to build. It takes time to reinforce. And I would argue it probably takes even more time to pull it apart and to replace it with a better situation. But that's just me, though. So, where are we going with this? Is that, like I said, we got to find those people that aren't trying to cast judgment. We got to find those people that aren't trying to change our minds. We got to find those people that aren't trying to change our lives. They're just saying, look, from what I see, it looks like you're going through XYZ. That's what it appears to me. I might be wrong. But just as an outsider looking in, it looks like you're going through XYZ. If that's the case, I went through something similar. And these are the tactics that worked for me. And here's why they worked. And these are the tactics that didn't work for me. And here's why they didn't work. And I'm wishing you the best. I am wishing you the best. And that's it. You got to find that person that does that. That says, you got to find a person that says, hey man, it looks like you're going through XYZ. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. If that's the case, these are the situations that did not help me, and here's why they didn't help me. And these are the situations that did help me, and here's why they helped me. I'd be happy to further elaborate on any of those. I would also be happy just to simply hear your story. I don't have to tell you my story. I can just hear your story. I can hear your pain. I can hear your wants. I can hear your desires. I can hear your fears. Maybe that into itself will go a long way. That might go a really long way, guys. I think I think it's natural. And, I think I can only speak for myself. I work a job. I work 40 hours a week, okay? And I've also got other responsibilities. I've got other hobbies in addition to that 40 hours a week. With one of them being simple hygiene, simple nutrition, and simple rest on top of everything else. So I think it's easy to oh boy. You've got to find a way to say, hey, look, I'm going to set aside some time. I want to hear your story. And that might be a little too sterile. Maybe. Maybe it's just a matter of you need to find a person and you need to just keep talking to them just over and over and over again consistently. And then maybe the story will just present itself there. I think it might be a little too rigid to simply say, hey, Joe, at 7 p.m. on Saturday, I want to hear your story. Sounds like you're being a therapist. That doesn't actually sound like companionship. And I could be wrong. But the point is, guys, is that we've all got a context. We've all got a root cause. We all got a system of root causes. And, and you know, we've got a set of items that got us here, right? And I think the thing is that we need to be able to tell our stories to somebody. My God, we got to tell our stories. Because there's a series of circumstances and a sequence of events that got all of us here. I mean, it got me here doing my meal prep recording this, and it got you here listening to it. Right? So, I mean, it's not just pure dumb luck. I mean, I don't think that's fair. But, that it matters, right? It matters what got you here. It absolutely matters. I mean, even if it was imperfect, it got you here. I mean, that counts. It has to count. It absolutely has to count. It got you here. So you got to find those people that want to hear your story. And I would say, just from my own personal experience, if you're going to say, well, Jonathan, that's all well and good. You say we need to tell our story. Well, who the hell am I going to tell my story to? I'd say the best way to do that is probably by listening to someone else's story first. If I just had to put a point to it, I'd say if you take the time to listen to someone else's story, they might actually be more willing to listen to yours. And not to get too not to get too much theology here, but the old adage of understand and then be understood, I think that goes a long way. I think it goes a long way to say, hey man, look, let me understand you. Let me hear your side. Let me hear what's going on your side of the equation. Let me know what's happening in your world. And then maybe, just maybe, that person might be willing to hear what's happening in my world. That person might be willing to hear what's happening in my story. Maybe. I said that's a big MANBY.